I would like to start out today by thanking my patrons. And you're probably thinking, Mike, the title of this video is suicide. Why are you making a money grab at the very beginning? And the reason is that I'm not making a money grab. My patrons over the last few months have been a steadying influence on myself as I've struggled with mental health issues. You will hear more about that in today's episode. I also want to thank my viewers. I had such an overwhelming response to my year wrap-up, the 2019 overview. I did not expect that what I was doing was as impactful as it was to many of you. And I thank you all for commenting and responding with such awesomeness and grace. Chad Nowak and I, both of us, have struggled with mental illness throughout the years. I have struggled with it most of my life, and Chad has had different bouts of it as things have gone on. In this episode, we talk about that. We talk about our struggles with mental illness. We talk about our struggles with mental health. And we talk at length about the struggles we've had when facing thoughts of suicide. It's a very serious topic, and I want you to know that it's deep. It's real deep. But I hope that each of you can take away the message, which is, we need you. We want you here. And if you are struggling, then reach out. Anyways, I'm going to let Chad do most of the talking. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the show the one, the only, the man that you know, Chad Nowak, Final Glide Oz. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm hot. It's hot. It's humid. It's summer here in Australia. And it's almost New Year's Eve.
I know.
I'm just relaxing outside.
You're less than 12 hours away from the new year.
Yep.
That is awesome. It's still the 30th here for me. So, shouldn't you be upside down?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this earlier, where we were going to start. We were going to start the interview.
Start the interview like this. Now we've got a guy from Australia here.
My arms will get a bit tired after
yeah,
that.
they definitely
gravity
would.
Still works the normal way here for some strange reason.
It's odd how that happens. Probably means the Earth is flat. So look, man, last time we chatted, and then shortly thereafter, you had a lot of physical stuff going on. So how, for the folks that haven't been keeping up with it, how are you doing?
A lot better. It's been quite a long road. So was it 2018? All my joints failed me while I was with my partner at the time over in Los Angeles, and I just couldn't get out of bed, and everything failed, and I didn't know what was wrong. And then I sort of went through the rigors of a breakup and that sort of stuff, and the whole health thing went to one side. And started this year, or midway through this year, it happened again. So we started doing investigations. This time was a lot more serious, and I ended up being tested positive to a HLA-B27 gene or something along that it's called. Basically, I'm more susceptible to arthritis issues, rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune issues and that sort of stuff, which kind of makes sense with some of the things happening there. So a couple of trips to the hospital. One time was a week in hospital. I had fluid taken out of my knee. I was at a point there where I couldn't even sit up, and I had to get carried to the bathroom and things like that. It wasn't fun. So yeah, lots and lots of blood tests and MRI scans and ultrasounds and doctor's visits and specialist visits and different medications and things like that, and a bit of physical therapy. And I'm about 95% better now, so I can walk around. I'm independent. I still have ankle and some knee issues and that from time to time, but a week or two I actually started running again for the first time since July, August. Not a lot, so like maybe go and run a kilometer and then stop. But yeah, that's kind of my goal, was like towards the end of the year, start of next year, to actually get in to start running again and actually being physically active again. So yeah, I'm still doing a decent number of blood tests, a couple of blood tests a month, and specialist visits and medication and sort of stuff. But I'm hoping that things will be kind of sorted maybe by the end of January. And my goal is to get off the medication. I'm sort of trialing some natural treatments, because there's no way in hell I'm going to be taking a tablet a day for the rest of my life. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, it's been a long road, and it's been a big a mental drain, as someone who's used to being a very independent person. Basically being completely dependent on others has made it I couldn't work at all for months and months. So that meant I didn't have any money. And I physically couldn't move around, so I had to get people to move around. I couldn't help out with the day-to-day stuff. So the losing your independence like that, even for me, I'm lucky I'm getting it all back again, but for a couple of months, when you get that, where you're stuck in bed day in, day out, that the lack of independence really hits you as to how important something simple like that is. So yeah, it makes you grateful for small things.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, dude. When we chatted last time, I remember, like, you were sitting on the bed before the interview started. You kind of told me, hey, this is where I'm going to take the interview because this is as far as I can get. And we had your partner's wonderful shoe collection in the background, which was one of the best backgrounds that we have had on this show ever, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, I remember like seeing you and I was like, physically, like mentally, you seemed good. Like, you seemed in good spirits. But physically, yeah, I could tell you didn't feel good, and then, it progressed on after that. So I'm glad you're on the up and up. Now, were you... Go ahead.
It went downhill after that, and my mental state went downhill after a while as well. It's that usual roller coaster of life that you lead. Sometimes you're great, sometimes you're shit.
Now, touching on something you just mentioned, have you always been a runner?
I've been an active person, so I've been an outdoorsy type of person, and I've always been the kind of person where I could run 10, 15, 20 Ks without an issue. It's not like I want to go out and run 20 Ks a day, not sort of in that sort of way. Right. But I've always played sports. I've always been active. I've always been outside. Always like going walking and doing hikes and things like that. So, it's not been a passion of mine, but always enjoyed it. Okay.
I didn't know if you were like Casey Neistat level, running like 100 miles a week or something like that. So,
no. I'm a realist. I want to grow old with dignity.
Right, dude. As big as I am, I hate running. There was a time when I actually got to enjoy running, and then I got injured, and it's just like, oh god, this is awful. So yeah, I feel you on that one. I'm gonna try to start swimming in the new year. So, in our last interview, one of the things that we touched on was mental health. And I actually want to dive a lot deeper on that today. Cause you have had, you shared with me, you've had some real serious mental health battles. And I have also had some pretty serious mental health battles, especially recently. So I guess the first question for you is from, physically you're doing better. How are you doing mentally?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. The go back a couple of months, I was at a pretty well. 2019 for me, there was a lot of low points for various reasons. Relationship issues, bringing you to a low point, sort of like self-worth issues, career issues, financial issues, all these kinds of things. And then right at the end, a very serious health issue, just to I've gotten over this one. Oh, wait.
Right.
Murphy comes along and goes, well, sorry, we're going to give you another one. So there's all these sort of ones where I never really felt like I got out of it, and then I'm into another one, and I'm into another one, and into another one. Doing quite well. I mean, everyone's got their dramas in life. You
sure,
can simply, it's one of those things like, I could complain, but no one wants to listen, so I'm not. There's a point in time where you just got to go, well, actually, that's life.
Right.
So yeah, doing quite well now, and I think my goals for me, like for 2019, were just to get myself back up on my own 2 feet again, and I'm a good portion of the way there. I'm not fully there. I don't think I'll ever be fully there. But yeah, in a good state, surrounding myself with good people and doing something in the world that I feel that I'm actually good at, and helping people and passionate about, and I think that's the important thing, to be content with yourself and not trying to mask it with other things like money or fame or anything like that.
Yeah. One of the things, and I don't remember if we were on camera when we talked about this. I think this might have been afterwards, but you mentioned that during, I don't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, you got to a point where you thought very seriously about suicide, taking your life. What was that like? And at the time, how long did it last? And at what point did you decide not to make that decision?
Well, I think when we talk about that, there's probably 2 separate areas. So the first time was probably for a good 5, if not more, years.
Okay.
Where I hadn't sort of said, I'm going to do this, but it was in the back of my mind that I'd always joke with my friends, like, I'm planning my life till I'm 40 because I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 40. And I never really told anyone. I just, you know what? I don't see much after 40.
This. Yeah.
So, look, it's not set in stone, but fuck it. When I get 40, I'm just going to off myself. And that's kind of the way that I was in the back of my mind for years.
Yeah.
And the whole sort of FPV drone rotor riot thing sort of I didn't even think about it for a while there. And then when that all sort of failed, it came back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it came back again when I was 39. So
the clock was ticking.
Yeah. And then the next part was to do with relationship issues and things like that, and that kind of a proper serious relationship can really, a failure of that can really send you down a rabbit hole, which I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, and as far as the seriousness of it in that situation, how close you come to it, I bought some of the stuff. Okay,
so you had a plan.
Yeah.
You had a plan.
I knew exactly how I was going to do it, where I was going to do it, and lots of stuff. So yeah, I mean, not at the point of but yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
And I guess what was what stopped me from thinking about doing it? It's one of those things that, to me, it was, I guess it was not necessarily a sort of yes, no.
Yeah.
It's sort of up and then gradual. And it's the people around you.
Right.
Who not judging you for the the crazy things that you're saying or doing or anything like that in that one point in time, that are realizing that you're not quite there at this point in time.
Right.
That they just need to gather up the pieces, make sure that they don't disappear, and you'll get yourself together. So just go, it's okay to fall apart every once in a while.
Right.
And when you're ready, we're here.
Yeah.
And family and friends and my current partner are the sole reason for that.
Yeah.
That those, like we spoke about earlier, the difference between friends and acquaintances.
Right.
The friends are the ones who message you out of the blue just because they want to know how you are.
Yeah.
They don't want anything from you. That they're like, hey, like my friend Mark, I've always known this. I never had to tell him this, but he knew. He's always known that if I went quiet, then something's not right. Yeah. And I knew exactly what he was doing whenever. Like, he's just, hey, how you doing? You should come over. Or I'm going to come over to you.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not taking no for an answer. All little things like that. That just sort of like, you don't just all of a sudden you're not at the edge. You're slowly getting further and further away from the edge. And then at one point in time, you're like, I'm not actually going to do this because I haven't thought about it for X number of amount of time.
Right.
And it's and I think that's the moment that you realize it, which is maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months after the fact, when you go, I'm not going to do it because I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about it now, I'm not thinking about it in a negative way.
Right.
I just realized that I haven't been thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's not just a 1 or 2 actions by someone else, and yay, they're saved.
Right. Yeah. It never is.
It's an ongoing process, and that's the big thing.
You and I talked about this prior to over text and before this. I am bipolar, and I don't think a lot of folks know that. For the most part, it's been well controlled for a long time, 13, 14 years. My onset was in like the 3rd grade. And at the time, there was never even a consideration that a kid could be bipolar at the age of 8 or 9. Like, it just medically didn't even make sense. I remember as a 3rd grader planning how I was going to kill myself because it hurt so bad that I just wanted it to stop, And luckily I didn't have the wherewithal or the resources to carry through with it at the time. But it came back in my high school years. It came back a few different times, and it is the thing that I'm the most terrified of with this illness is the depths of depression that I can sink to. So over the last 3 months, I've been doing a med change. Some stuff came up with the medicines that I was on. And I came face to face with my uncontrolled bipolar. And there was one particular day my wife and I kind of had some stuff going on. And there were a few other factors. And the next day I just laid in bed all day. And I thought about how much I wanted to die. And I never formed a plan. But all day long I obsessed over how it would just be easier to die than it would be to get out of bed or take another step. And, luckily enough for me at that point, because of the way that my moods were swinging, I pulled out of it within like 24 hours, which was good. It wasn't a permanent thing at that moment. And my wife and I kind of had a chat, and then slowly I started realizing, okay, I'm coming out of this. And what I was actually doing, and for folks that are not familiar with the whole concept of suicide and what happens, there's the concept of suicidal ideation, which is thinking about it, right? And then the next step is where you got, which was forming a plan, right? And then the third and final step is the actual commission of the plan.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, it's that day terrified me. I didn't even know what to do. I hadn't been there in so long, that I didn't in the least expect it to happen. And, it was shocking. So but yeah, it is interesting. Like you said, with friends and acquaintances, I've been really good at hiding the struggle that happens in me for a long time. And, you know, for me, this has been a lifelong thing. I've developed a lot of coping mechanisms. I've dealt with it for a long time. And I realized that it was bad enough recently that some of the people that I was close to but weren't, you know, kind of acquaintances on the way to becoming friends, started to notice. They started to see Mike's not okay. Mike's having a hard time. We had at work, we had a Christmas party thing that we did, and I completely flipped out. I mean, I couldn't handle it. And that was when everybody was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And that afternoon, one of my really good friends messaged me. He was like, "I know you're not okay. I don't know what to do, but please tell me and I'll do it." And that's the friend that you need at that moment, where it's like, and I even told him, I was like, I wish I knew what to tell you. I don't know what I need. But thank you for asking. So.
I think the one thing that sticks with me the most, it seems like such a stupid small thing, but if you experience it, it's extremely helpful, and that is my now partner Candice said to me, it's okay to have little wins.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what she said. And I now understand it, because when you are that depressed that you don't want to go on, you're looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is just too huge and scary and insurmountable that I can't possibly achieve that. It's too big.
Right.
And it's only now that I fully understand what she said.
Yeah.
And she said, it's okay to have little wins. And I said, what do you mean? She said, little wins. Right now you're laying in bed. What I want you to do is I want you to take the covers off you. Mm-hmm. And then let that have as a win. Or you just then just put your foot on the ground. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to celebrate that little bit of a win. You've now gone further than you have for a very long time.
Right.
And celebrate that win, but don't just stop. Do it a little wins. And now I look at that's the way that I look at life. When shit is too big and scary to deal with, ignore the big picture. Look at the small picture. Okay, I can't deal with all that crap out there right now.
Right.
But what I can do is, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the dishes. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to admire that, hey, the kitchen looks clean.
Right. That's a win.
And go, you know what? I did that. A little win. Yeah. And little things like that. They in the context of things, they actually make a big difference.
Yeah.
And
I remember. Go ahead.
Here's one other thing, and this is one thing that I've actually done for a number of friends. Mm-hmm. I actually have it. I have it on my phone. I have a copy of it there. If ever you are feeling that life is just too hard, or you've got a friend that's down and they just can't take it, do yourself a favor and get a copy of this book. Read it for yourself, or read it for them.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Zeus, Oh, the Places You Will Go.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like such a stupid book. But I had that book when I was a little kid, and my father read it to me. And I thought it was a great book because it had stupid words and it all rhymed and it sounded funny and that sort of stuff. And then when I had my son, my first son, I got all those books and I read it to him for the first time, and I went, "Oh wow, that's a deep, deep book." And I came across it one time when I was a bit down, and it really it hit me just what it actually means. So now, not this Christmas, but last Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last Christmas? I can't remember. My partner got me Dr. Zeus, a Dr. Zeus book, so I've got a hardcover special edition copy of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every time I'm down, I read that. If I've got a friend who's down, I go, "Okay, we're going to sit down. We're just going to, I don't want you to think about anything. I just want you to take in this book."
Mm-hmm.
And every single time I read that book, that person, you can see their eyes, they go, "I get it.
Yeah,
I get what you're trying to say." So that's my bit of wisdom there. If you're down or you know someone's down, read them Dr. Zeus, Oh, the Places You Will Go. I don't care where you are, whether it's a professional organization or at home or out in a hotel or out in this, read them that. It will work.
I've read that book to my kids, God, 1,000 times. And I always get to the page where one of the lines is where the hack and cracks howl. And I've always wanted to be able to get a print of that and put it up somewhere. Because number one, like that, and that's probably the darkest part of the book. And if you haven't read the book, you should do yourself a favor and go read it, because it's awesome. But I every time I read that book to my kids, I'm always hopeful for them. But I'm always hopeful that they never have to go to that place. But I think everybody will, or does. It's
well, you can't go. You have to experience the bad to appreciate the good.
Yeah.
Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't.
You won't. No, that's absolutely true. I had a really good someone very close to me. At the same time I was going through a hard time, he was going through a hard time. And he called me and he just said he was in that stage. He couldn't get out of bed. He was thinking about dying. And I told him, I said, "Get out of bed and go take a shower." He's like, I said, "When's the last time you had a shower?" He's like, "It's been 4 days." I said, "Get out of bed and go take a shower." I said, "When you're done with the shower, go take a walk. You'll feel better." And he did, and he called me back about an hour or two later. He was like, "I don't feel great, but I feel better."
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people also, like, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to get 100% improvement.
Right.
It's kind of like expecting perfection. If you expect perfection, then you'll always be disappointed.
Yeah.
And once again, I think it's from looking at the bigger picture, getting freaked out because I can't handle the bigger picture.
Right.
Okay, well then put blinders on so you can only see 2 meters in front of you. And deal with those first 2 meters until you can physically deal with those first 2 meters. Then make the vision longer.
I know for me, the blinders became, I'm the sole provider for our family, so I have to keep my job. I focused everything I could on my children and my wife. And this thing I do here is an outlet, and so I let it be. And everything else I just started pushing away. And I just said, and there's been some really unfortunate situations that have come up, and I've just said, I'm sorry, but I can't deal with that right now. It's nothing, it's beyond my control. It's too big. And I have to focus on me and my family first. So, yeah, man, we're deep in it now.
Oh yeah.
One Go ahead.
Now we've got on our hand and then or something like that. We're blood brothers now.
Right. One of the things that I find that, and the reason that I've hidden what I am for so long, is there's a huge stigma on mental health issues. You can have cancer, and people will rally around you, throw money at you, pray for you, do all these things, right? But people that are depressed, they just need to get out of bed and like shake themselves out of it, right? People that are ill in the way that I am, they just need to get control of themselves. I've hidden it for most of my life. I'm very good at hiding it, and I'm not gonna hide it anymore. Do you feel like the stigma affected you?
Well, I don't know if I felt that there was a stigma. I think the issue is that we as a society just are not used to talking about it.
Right.
So you don't talk about it. And the fact that when you're depressed, you don't want to talk about it.
You don't. Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
So it all compiles. And I think that was the big thing for me. I learned from getting well known and the fact that I could help people that I was like, you know what? And me wanting to be real, not being fake. This is me, the good and the bad. Guess what? I'm not fucking perfect. And I'm going through some issues as well. I realized by talking about it that when you talk about it and someone goes, well, you're suffering that, I'm suffering that too.
Yeah.
And just by me talking about it, I realized that in some small way it helped that person, which made me feel better, which helped me. So I was like, okay, cool. Put all the bullshit aside and talk about it. And I did a live feed with Mark about depression, I don't know, early 2018 or something like that, talking about all that sort of stuff. Just getting out and talking about it really does help because, like I said, if you can just get that interest from one person, then it's worth it. It's not about becoming. It's not about fame. It's not about power. It's not about money or anything like that. It's just about helping someone. And I don't need to hear that I've helped someone because it's out there. And like what you're doing here, if it helps someone, whether you hear about it or not, then that's great. I don't necessarily. I think there's a stigma. It's a interesting way. Like I said, I don't think it's sort of like feel like, oh, you're not allowed to talk to it or I'm being talked down for talking about it. It's just in our society, I think we're grown up to not talk about it and deal with it ourselves, which makes it even harder. And I've gone, you know what, screw that. That doesn't work. So let's try something else.
I've found like even the stigma applies to my own self talking to myself, where it's like, hey, dude, like snap out of it. What the hell's wrong with you? And this is like my internal voice, right? Where it's like,
but here's the problem. Did you hear the way that you just talked to yourself then?
I talked down to myself.
You just talked down to yourself. And that's not the way to talk to someone in that mood. So if you spoke to someone like that, if you're someone else you spoke to, you're going to get negative breeds more negativity.
Right.
And that's the problem. When you talk to yourself as a depressed person or someone with those kinds of issues, because you are down, you are going to talk down to yourself, and it's just a spiral that gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a sick cycle that you end up in that situation. And I mean, just the way, just even the self-dialogue can be detrimental to, not even, and it's like, your partner is wise, because what she did was she gave you the space to realize that you don't have to win all at once. Right? Like, and I think a lot of us expect that, like, we're either going to be like Hercules and lift the world on our shoulders, or we're going to be saved like some princess in a castle. And the fact of the matter is that, like, there are some people that haven't gotten out of bed in a few days or a week or a month. And just getting out of bed is a big deal for them. And we should celebrate that with them.
The world is in the human's eyes, is a very black and white world.
Right.
Right or wrong, politically, left or right,
polarized.
Moral versus immoral, and that sort of stuff. It's very black or white. But when you look into it, life itself, there is no black or white.
Right.
The reality is that grey bit in the middle there, and that's where it stays. And I think that's the problem, because we as humans, we struggle to deal with that. There is no black or white generally, like pretty much at all. It's right in the middle there. Yeah. And the whole old and wise person, the old and wise person is the person that has battled with that black and white and has realized that, it's actually in the middle. That's why they're wise, because they've experienced all that.
Suffering breeds wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what it comes down to. You can't appreciate how bad somebody is suffering until you've suffered badly yourself.
Yeah.
Let's turn the conversation, and thank you, by the way. Thank you for being open, because that's not easy, and I really appreciate it. I hope that there's somebody that is listening to this that will benefit from it. And we don't need to know. But I hope that somebody will, and I think probably that'll happen. Quite honestly, one of my greatest fears in life is, and has been, admitting that I struggle with a mental illness. Being bipolar carries with it a lot of stigma, and it carries with it a lot of weight. You have to manage things in yourself very carefully. Chad opening up the way that he did has spurred me on to realize that I need to talk about my struggles, just as he's talked about his. He's not been quiet about the fact that he's had problems. He's had struggles, right? And I want to thank Chad for coming on, for being so open and honest, and for being just the guy that he is. It would be easy for him to fade away, to just disappear. He has every right to do that. And yet he still comes on and he talks to us about real things and things that are hard. So I want to thank him. I also want to say that if I ever meet Mark or Candice, I will give them a handshake and then a big hug, because it is through no small part of their influence that we still have Chad with us today. So thank you, Mark and Candice. I may never meet you, but please know that you have my undying gratitude, because this world without Chad Nowak would be a little less bright. Once again, thank my patrons. They're awesome. Link in the description below. You can also find links to the suicide prevention hotline in the US down below, and you'll find links to Chad's social media down below. Once again, if you've never watched the Final Glide video, do yourself the favor and go watch it now. Last little bit is that the next thing we talk about is how social media warps reality, both for the consumer and for the creator. It's also a pretty deep conversation. It's actually longer than this one. We talked for like an hour on this topic. But it goes along with mental health in general. So I hope that y'all stick around for that, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.